not even the guesswork out. It was guesswork. It wasn't even guesswork. Anywhere you deployed your money, it would grow. That's not normal. That's not normal. But now stimulus is all but gone. And I always said, there will be blowback. The dust will settle. And we will pay the piper from overheating the economy, specifically the housing market. Now, I'm just a boots on the ground agent who was deemed an essential worker. You're essential, Scott, because that was part of the stimulus package. Stimulus measures, stimulus money, and stimulus programs. That's it. 3. Stimulus money, stimulus programs, stimulus measures. One of the stimulus measures was the housing market, right? Your grocer had to be essential. Got to keep them fed. Home Depot had to be essential. You got to be able to, go do improvements at the house. If the toilet breaks, got to have a toilet. And you're a real estate agent. Why, you ask? Of course I'm going to tell you. Because you can't have the housing market crash, as it's going to take down the whole economy. Here was the challenge, and we said this early on. They overheated it. They kicked the can too far down the road. They left interest rates artificially low too long. The second, not the minute, not the week, not the day, the second it started to exhibit bubble behavior, leadership should have stepped in and said, whoa, we got to raise rates now because we just overheated the biggest asset class on planet Earth. Now, that's why I always said, I don't know if this was planned or on purpose or on accident, but something didn't pass the smell test. Because if I can figure this thing out, you would think leadership could, but they didn't. Now, maybe they were asleep in their basements. Maybe they were too busy playing politician. Maybe they didn't understand economics to the point where if you lose the U.S. housing market, you're going to thrust your country, your people, your citizens into a deep cycle recession. Maybe they had a plan. Maybe. Doesn't matter. We're going to get out of the problem and in the solution today. If you're new, get subscribed. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, today. There's never been a more important time in history to get centered and surrounded with like-minded people where iron can sharpen iron. We're going to sharpen a little iron today. Because here's the thing. Like I said, I work in a white-collar industry, real estate. I was deemed an essential worker. Other white-collar industries, whether it was Google or any of these other tech companies, they could go to work because they could work remotely. Hey, guess what? You can work remote, which really just added to the insanity because now these people are like, hey, I don't have to live in my city anymore. I can go move out here to Florida or Texas, or Phoenix, Vegas, and I could work from there and get more bang for my buck and actually be a homeowner. Yes, you can. You can do that. Well, we saw what happened. We reported a year or two ago. Once we reopened, slowly they're like, hey, going to need you back at the office.